These are live pictures coming into the newsroom right now from St. Peter's Square in the Vatican, where crowds are gathering to pay their respects, and in Rome at the Basilica of Santa Maria Maggiore, where Pope Francis wants to break with tradition and be buried. The faithful are now arriving for the Rosary. Meanwhile, his death has led to tributes from leaders all around the world.
This the Pope's final appearance. 88 years old, frail, and only recently out of hospital. Yet somehow his death came as a shock, just hours after a blessing to the world.
Cari fratelli e sorelle, buona Pasqua.
But then came this sombre moment from the Vatican. Pope Francis had gone.
Carissimi fratelli e sorelle.
Dear brothers and sisters, with deep sorrow I must announce the death of our Holy Father Francis. At 7:35 this morning, the Bishop of Rome, Francis, returned to the house of the Father. He taught us to live the values of the gospel with fidelity, courage and universal love, especially towards the poorest and most marginalised.
He left hospital last month after 5 weeks of treatment for pneumonia in both lungs. For days he struggled to breathe. Catholics prayed for his health. And then there were signs that he had recovered. Public appearances, a returning confidence, high-profile visitors. A fortnight ago, he welcomed the King and Queen to the Vatican.
So good to see you.
And just the day before his death, the Pope met America's Vice President, J.D. Vance. Paying tribute on X, Vance said, "My heart goes out to the millions of Christians all over the world who loved him. I was happy to see him yesterday, though he was obviously very ill. May God rest his soul." The King wrote, "My wife and I were most deeply saddened to learn of the death of Pope Francis. Our heavy hearts have been somewhat eased, however, to know that His Holiness was able to share an Easter greeting with the Church and the world he served with such devotion throughout his life and ministry." The Prime Minister recorded this: "I join millions around the world in grieving the death of His Holiness Pope Francis. His leadership in a complex and challenging time for the world and the Church was often courageous, yet always came from a place of deep humility." And this from the French President. Throughout his pontificate, Pope Francis had always sided with the most vulnerable and the most fragile, and he did this with a lot of humility. In this time of war and brutality, he had a sense for the other, for the most fragile. The news of Pope Francis's death spread quickly. At the Vatican, people gathered to mourn and to pay tribute.
It's very sad news, a great loss for the Church and for the whole world. A Pope who worked so hard for peace and for the good of all. Let's all pray for him.
It's just a very sad day. It's honestly, I think, impressive that he made it to Easter. I think that's almost like a miracle for Italy. But it's sad, and I feel like many people might not have realized it yet because it was very recent. And I think tonight is going to be very sad for everyone.
Yeah, we are really sad about it. We come from Australia. We were hoping there was some chance to see him, but then we heard about it when we came in here, and yeah, it's pretty much devastated all of us.
Francis will be remembered as the man who broke a mould, a liberal from Argentina, a bouncer who became the Pope. The question for the Catholic Church now is how to remember and replace this man.